Welcome all for joining the final presentation day of AI for Good Challenge 2020. I'm today's host, Pearl Siu, from Microsoft Corporate Affairs teams. This year's event is co-hosted by Microsoft Hong Kong and Swire Trust and is supported by the Environmental Protection Department from HKSARG, Cyberport, and Carbon Care InnoLab. AI for Good Challenge is a local program with a structured approach and competition to influence and drive awareness of AI for societal good projects in the impact of NGO and Startup Ecosystem. This year, our topic is to hack for solution to protect Hong Kong's marine ecosystem through AI. Three marine-focused NGOs, which are the Hong Kong Birdwatching Society, Ocean Free Sea, and WWF Hong Kong, have provided existing challenges for startups to hack. Today, the shortlisted startups will present their ideas. Here will be today's agenda. After the opening sharing by Microsoft Hong Kong and Swire Trust, Mr. Victor Yeung from Environmental Protection Department will share with us the latest information on smart environment protection in Hong Kong. Then, we will kickstart the presentation time of our startups. Each competing startup will be given 8 minutes to present, followed by a 4-minute Q&A section from our judges. At the very end, we'll announce the winners of today's challenge. Now, let's introduce our honorable judges. Ms. Doris Chen, Technology Strategist from Microsoft Hong Kong. Ms. Tina Chen, Head of Philanthropy from John Swire & Sons Hong Kong Limited. She will join us virtually today. Mr. Victor Yeung, Principal Environmental Protection Officer from Environmental Protection Department of HKSARG. Ms. Ivy Chan, Head of Ecosystem and Collaboration from Cyberport. Professor Ivan Sadofi from School of Biological Sciences of the University of Hong Kong. Mr. Alex Wong, Manager of Ocean Conservation Engagement from WWF Hong Kong. Mr. Yetong Yu, Senior Research Manager from Hong Kong Birdwatching Society. Ms. Isabel Chabert, co-founder of Ocean Free Sea. So today's solutions, our startup will be judged according to below criteria: the solution and technology, the potential impact, and the feasibility. So we will also have to mention our attractive awards. Today we have a total of 3 winners. The second runner-up will be receive 10K cash prize from Swire Trust. The first runner-up will receive 25K cash prize from Swire Trust, a Microsoft Surface Pro 7 laptop device from Microsoft. And the champion will receive 35K cash prize from Swire Trust and a Microsoft Surface Pro 7 laptop device from Microsoft. Apart from the on-site incentive, both Microsoft and Swire Trust might also explore the possible funding support and promotional outreach to realize the solution in the community. Now let's invite Ms. Winnie Yang, our Chief Legal Director from Microsoft Hong Kong, to share with us a few words. Winnie, please.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Hi, Tina, from calling in from our virtually. Victor and Ivy, welcome, and thank you all for joining us today on our AI for Good Challenge 2020. At Microsoft, our mission is to enable every person and every organization to achieve more. And this is not limited to our support for our customers and partners to in their digital transformation journey on how we work and live. We are also passionate about leveraging technology to address societal challenges. In January this year, Microsoft announced our commitment on sustainability. We have taken responsibility on our carbon footprint, and we aim to achieve to be carbon negative in 2030, by 2030. And at that same year, we are also hoping to achieve water positive and zero waste. In addition, we have also set aside $1 billion in our Climate Innovation Fund to encourage and accelerate new technologies in addressing sustainability issues. So today, We are very, very excited about this opportunity to work with the Swire Group Charitable Trust in organizing this AI for Good challenge. We hope that through this event, we can raise the awareness of NGOs to make better use of technology in how they work, and also to connect them with the social impact entrepreneurs in Hong Kong and build up the ecosystem to collaborate in this area of work. And we are very fortunate to also have the support of the Environmental Protection Department, Cyberport, as well as our NGO partner, Carbon Care InnoLab. So today we have reached the time when all of our finalist startups will be presenting their innovative solutions to our panel of judges. The theme to this year, as Pearl has mentioned, would be on how to preserve the sustainability of our marine ecosystem. So I thank you all the participants for joining us on this journey, and I wish all the teams the best of luck in their presentation. Thank you once again for the distinguished guests and judges for joining us, and I hope you will enjoy today's event. Thank you.
Thank you, Winnie. Now let's invite Ms. Tina Chan, Head of Philanthropy, John Swire and Sons Hong Kong Limited, to share with us virtually. Tina, please.
Hello. Distinguished judges, colleagues, ocean lovers. On behalf of Swire, I'm excited to collaborate with Microsoft on the AI for Good project to benefit our environment. Marine conservation is one of Swire Trust's 3 focuses, alongside with education and art, and we're very much interested to learn and explore how AI and technology can play a part in our NGO partners' conservation work. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank the startups for putting your expertise and skills into helping our ocean, and our NGO partners for continuing to explore new ways to protect our environment. I look forward to the presentation and to learn from all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. Thank you, Tina. Now we would like to have Mr. Victor Yang, Principal Environmental Protection Officer from Environmental Protection Department, to give the keynote sharing on smart environmental protection in Hong Kong. Victor, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my honor to be here in this very exciting event where the environmental protection colleagues from the NGO and the technical experts from Microsoft, and with the support of the Swire Trust, to arrange this exciting event where the environment meets the technology. And in these coming 15 minutes or so, I would like to show to you a little bit about how the Environmental Protection Department has been applying technology in protecting the environment. Well, my presentation mainly comprised of 3 parts. First is some background that's on the Hong Kong environment. And then the main part will be some information about how we apply the smart technology in protecting the environment. And then lastly, understanding that this event also involves some startup and also the NGO. I'll provide some information about the funding opportunity. First of all, our Hong Kong environment. This slide shows that actually Hong Kong is a densely populated area. When compared with the other areas like the San Francisco or Tokyo Bay area or the Pearl Delta region, actually we have a really dense population. And this slide shows the physical environment of Hong Kong, where about 3/4 of our land are country park area. And the other side is we are surrounded by the sea. That's the marine environment. That's one of the focus of this event. And we are also close to the mainland China, where again there's a lot of people living there, a lot of resources and industry and so on. So all in all, the summary is that Hong Kong is a really metropolitan city, highly urbanized and vibrant economy. On the other hand, we have a very good environmental treasure of having a country park and a marine environment. So we broadly classify 5 major areas for protection. The first thing is about air quality, the second about waste management, and then the third side is about the nature and countryside conservation, and then about energy, climate change, and then also the water quality, which is one of the focus of today's event. And we have been doing quite a lot of things to apply technology to protect the environment. In Hong Kong, we have the Hong Kong Smart City Blueprint, and one of them is to have a smart environment. And similar to what I mentioned about the focuses, we can further divide the smart environment initiative through many subcategories. And for today, I'd like to focus on 3 of them. The first thing is about water quality application, the second is about enforcement, and the third one is about planning and assessment. And you may appreciate later on why I choose these 3 areas. Okay, this one is for the water quality application. I think later the startup competitor may also mention some kind of monitoring initiative. For water quality, we are exploring some kind of pilot on using solar panel to provide power supply, and then using these 4G and 5G communication technology, so that we can have a mobile monitoring station, which can be placed in the harbor, which one for trial is in some kind of typhoon shelter, so that we can remotely collect the water quality data. And this illustrates 2 major advancement or the reduction in cost of the technology, make it feasible. One is the power supply, the other is the communication technology. And then this second one is we proceed to the use of AI. Here it is another capability of using the camera. We use camera to monitor the water environment to identify whether there's any floating residues. And because the camera will capture a lot of video and footage, we will then need to use the AI to help us identify special situations, so that we don't need to have a worker who monitor the whole video and go through to identify what are the potential incidents. So we use the AI to capture and detect those special incidents where waste are detected. And then the way forward is potentially using even further remote sensing device like the drone, so that we can access to some difficult to assess situation. Like some of the initiatives in today's competition, some of the sites could be quite remote and then difficult to access. By using drone or say satellite images, we can effectively or say largely reduce the cost of monitoring some remote location. And again, this one is made feasible because for the recent development in the drone technology. So far, it's about we are using the technology in collecting data. The second area I'd like to mention is about enforcement. That will be an integration of the technology or the data with our internal operation, adding the human interface. For this, again, we are using mobile device, we are using GIS, we are using sensor, and we are using CCTV or the camera. In this slide, we try to illustrate that we are installing some GPS and GIS checking system in some of the vehicles and some of the barges, so that we have a record of where they are. It's similar to some of the commercial operation of fleet management, where we understand whether they would have gone into some prohibited area, or what we say is geofencing, so that the computer can set out alarm in case the vehicles or the bus got into the environment which is prohibited. Once we've got information, then we can take follow-up, enforcement, and then investigation. This slide is showing the use of some mobile device to facilitate the communication. For example, our inspector can go out on site and respond to a complaint and identify some waste that's dumped on the street. And then they can just take a photo and send a photo back to the system. The system will then send the message and information to the relevant government department for follow-up, like for cleaning or removing the waste. That will reduce a lot of time in passing the information around, as well as by taking photos and having auto GIS tagging. The accuracy of the information will be very good. The record is also very good because it's automatically uploaded to the database system for easier for future reference, and then next stage is about analysis. This slide shows the control center. Because of large amount of data, sensor and so on, we'll need to have a control center so as to give direction to our inspector or to monitor the information and so on, and then take follow-up. Again, as I mentioned, because of the increased amount of data, we'll then be able to carry out some kind of big data analysis and using AI to identify, for example, the complaint trend, and the potential pollution hotspot, so that we can save our resources and our plan in tackling the different illegal activities. What I just mentioned about our internal deployment using data and so on. And the third part is then we'll move even forward in trying to use the technology to enhance our communication with the public. As you all aware, the community involvement is very important today. So we also work on trying to using technology to help the general public to understand what we're doing. And that's the application is about for planning. We are moving toward adopting some kind of 3D model, or in the first slide, about visualization of an environmental impact assessment. That's where when a project is proposed, they would carry out a lot of assessment to predict the, say, noise impact, water quality impact, air quality impact, and so on. We try to use a 3D model to show the public how actually they may be affected. For example, in this slide, it's a 3D GIS system based on Land Department and Plan Department's 3D model. In here, the slide shows the potential traffic noise level on the facades of the building. By using that kind of 3D models, the affected people can more readily understand how they are affected. And we are also using, exploring or having more application on using the 4D virtual reality so that we can actually create the potential future environment. In this example, we demonstrate the situation in a residential unit. Inside the unit and how the noise will be affected. If we close the window or open the window or adopt what we have here is a innovative noise mitigation design. That's a specially designed window. And by having this 4D application, actually the user can actually feel the effect of the window. By opening and closing window, the sound effect will change. This is again another slide showing the colleague using actually the goggle to experience and walk around the unit. And then, because we want to expand applications, we are trying to have a more immersive environment. We have built or installed a cave system, which is like a room with a full projector, which can give the user a immersive experience of the environment, like just walk in the room or say like flying on the drone and so on, which can give them even better experience, especially if people are coming to visit us in the group. Because unlike the Google, which say giving a personal experience only to the user, for the cave, we project the image on the wall, the whole group of people can experience the same thing, which allows the discussion and improvement in the whole scheme. And we are also working on, say, using the internet, because originally these 3D or the 4D information use a lot of data, which are, say, usually tied to using certain supercomputer or a specific value. We are trying to see how we can use the internet to enhance the communication or have more users to make use of this 3D experience. And then we're also working on using artificial intelligence, like in identify noise from vehicle. Many of the examples I just mentioned are currently available through the EcoExpo, which is currently online through the TDC website. And then through that online exhibition, you can actually feel the 4D or the 3D application that I've just mentioned. Okay, lastly, that's the funding opportunity. Actually, there are several funds which help to protect the environment. First, the Environmental and Conservation Fund, which is having quite a long history since 1994. And I think many green groups already have some applications and got the assistance. And in the past, many projects are related to waste. And recently, there are also some projects related to nature conservation management. And these are some recent lists, and more information available on the website. And then second is about the Green Tech Fund. This one is mainly for the R&D purpose. And it will start to have application in December this year. And there are several key themes. And the University and Research Institute could apply for the funding. And the third one is the Energy Transport Fund, which is, say, to support, say, the purchase of or the trial of some electric vehicles. And this one is currently being promoted to help people to install the EV charging station. And then for the waste, we have the recycling fund, which helps the operator to have some additional equipment for recycling. That's all for today's sharing. Thanks a lot, Tony.
Thank you, Dr. Yarn. Please stay on stage. May we invite Winnie and Ada from Microsoft to elbow shake and take a photo together. Thank you all. It is great to see Hong Kong is taking initiative to protect our environment using the smart solutions. We are optimistic and looking forward to the upcoming improvements in these areas. Each computing startup will be given 8 minutes to present, followed by a 4-minute Q&A section from our judges. So let's kickstart the final presentations from our startups. Our first group of NGO is the Hong Kong Birdwatching Society. The Birdwatching Society promotes appreciation and protection of birds and their habitat. The current challenge is to monitor the breeding grounds of seabirds, namely terms which could be inaccessible. Hence, an effective remote monitoring system is required. You may all scan the QR code for more information. Now, let's invite our first complete startup, Clear Robotics. Are you ready now?
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay, let's start the presentation.
All right. Good afternoon, honorable judges, organizers, and my fellow participants. My name is Siddhant, and I'm the founder and CEO of Clear Robotics. So, well, I'll give you a brief introduction to our company before we begin. Our company actually makes underwater cameras with AI on board. And the idea is that these are deployed underwater and you can remote stream from them. Today, we're actually going to propose a modification of our original product, and so we call it BirdieCam for the Hong Kong Birdwatching Society. So the fundamental problem, from what we understood, is that data collection and processing in these remote locations, it's super expensive because you need to actually travel back and forth. It's a logistical nightmare organizing all of that, and making that happen often enough. The presence of humans also disturbs birds, right, which makes it even more difficult to get good quality data. And also all the IDing and counting is actually done manually, which is super challenging. I mean, I try to imagine what it would be like to sit and count hundreds of birds and oof, right? So I'd like to propose our solution today. It's called, well, BirdieCam. It's a 24/7 bird observation and counting system. It's based off our ocean camera. And so basically it's a camera with AI kind of on board, so we can do some processing, and it can stream all of its results remotely back to us. So some of the features that this camera has, which are really useful for the study that's being done, firstly, adjustable lenses, because our understanding is that sometimes you need to make observations really close, while sometimes you need to make observations across a large area. So through a single camera system, the lenses can be interchanged, which would allow you to do a wide range of kind of activities. Our camera also has a 4G connection, which means you can stream the images and videos directly off the camera onto our mobile app. Or alternatively, if there's processing on board, just the results, just the final data pieces and counting results. We also have a solar power unit, which means it can be deployed 24/7, 365. And we do have a lighting system for night, although I don't know how effective that'll be in the field. And finally, we are integrated with a bunch of sensors. So we have temperature, humidity, wind, lux, and audio. And all of those, I'm quite sure, are quite useful to have on top of the image and video data. So this is a photograph of our existing solution. This one is, of course, underwater. But basically, we want to take the same system, something with a tripod, put it underneath that solar panel, and that will be used to make these observations. And this is our controller app. So it's already up on Google Play and iOS. You can actually go online and download it. But the idea is you can live stream directly on here, so you don't need to wonder what the birds are doing when you're on there. The app also allows you to remotely control ISO, shutter speed, all the sort of photograph parameters, which make sure the photo quality is really good, because sometimes that's important to get right. And finally, I'd like to go through our AI software. So our existing software is used to basically ID marine creatures and sort of do counting. But actually, the use case is the exact same. It's just that this is for birds. So to take a blank model and retrain it for birds, we would need about 2,000 images for each species. But provided we have that, we can actually get pretty decent accuracy. So this is what we did with some pigeons, right? And the two things we'll be able to do is do identification with some level of confidence. So it'll return, pigeon with 70% confidence. And it'll auto count the total birds in a frame. And so those two things combined can give you an idea of kind of what's going on. The good news is the infrastructure is already built up because of our existing product. You can actually go down to our website, ai.openoceancam.com, and try it out and label these images. And overall, we're hoping to cut the operation cost because you don't have to go out to sea back and forth. Much less data processing time. So that's a whole researcher's time free to do real research, not data cleaning. And hopefully we're able to generate a lot more data because you have a system that's out there 24/7. And currently we have already worked, now of course this is for our underwater product, but we've already worked with a bunch of universities like Stanford, HKU, the University of Queensland. We do some work with the AFCD and a number of other research institutes globally. So our product's fairly well established, it works, and there's enough sort of clients to vouch for that. In terms of the pricing, because I know that is a factor, our product costs between 7,000 and 20,000 Hong Kong dollars for the hardware, for the camera. And the AI processing should be about 150,000 Hong Kong dollars per species. And for every additional species, there's a small charge for retraining, but that's pretty much it. And we should be able to deliver within 3 months. So probably the product will be out within actually the first month, but I think it'll take a while to really get it right in the field. And so we've kept kind of 2 months for that. So yeah, there's really high social impact in what we're doing. Each camera that we give out over its lifetime will save 10,000 Hong Kong dollars, 35,000 man-hours of work, and generate 100x more data. Plus, if you give us the price today, our impact is expanded to the rest of conservation science and conservation technology as well, because we are working in that realm. We're directly addressing the challenge. Our solution exists already. It's affordable. And so we'd like this opportunity. We'd like to win another award, hopefully today. And yeah, thank you so much for your time, and looking forward to your questions and comments.
Thank you for your presentation. So as mentioned, each group will have 4 minutes Q&A session time from our judges. We will start our Q&A session time now. May Tina please ask the first question?
For your presentation, I actually have a few questions, but I'll clump them all together. So for the price of one camera, how long would one camera last until it becomes, broken or whatever, not work for its purpose? And also, you mentioned that one species would be 30,000, but as we know, birds or fish, there are thousands of these species. So it will be times all the number of species for the actual cost. And also, in your view, I would like to know what is the limitation of your product in terms of Hong Kong Bird Watching Society's needs?
Sure.
Thanks.
Well, thank you so much for that, Tina. So I'll go one by one. So the first question was, how long does it last? So with the solar panel, in theory, it's pretty much for as long as, forever. The problem is that there is some maintenance that's required. So that solar panel is going to get dirty. And so I would say once every 6 months, you're going to require a regular kind of cleaning and maintenance. But apart from that, it should be all right. The second question was regarding, if I'm not wrong, the cost related to the species. So the simple answer is yes, you're right. But as we train more species, it actually kind of gets a bit cheaper for us because we're building that infrastructure. So yeah, the cost is there, but that is unfortunately what it is. And as we do more and more species, it basically becomes cheaper for us to be able to do this. And so I guess initially you'd focus on the most important ones, right? The most ecologically significant ones. And the third is in terms of our limitations towards Hong Kong Birdwatching Society. So we've actually spoken over call before, and our understanding was one of the challenges is that actually keeping the camera secure itself, right? Because there's a chance it might get stolen. There are like people who come to these islands. So that is something we have to work out. There are admittedly, of course, like a couple of issues like this. But I think that there was nothing unreasonable. Like they were all things that we felt we would be able to take up without an issue. Yeah.
Thank you. Will other judges have questions? Yvonne, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Is it? Thank you. How you mentioned you need about 2,000 images to train the model, but a lot of species in Hong Kong, it'll be very difficult to get 2,000 images, maybe even. Have you kind of thought about what this might do in terms of limiting the number of different species you might be able to identify? And linked to this, and the second part of the question, is how well do you think you can distinguish similar species, very similar, like two doves, for example? So these are questions presumably you've had to deal with your underwater work as well. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Sadovi. So, so let's start with the first one, right? So I think the issue is that basically, it was about how we get similar species, how we differentiate between two extremely similar species, right?
Two questions. One is, if you've got very similar species, do you think you can distinguish well enough between two similar species? And also, if you've got rare species, are you going to get enough images for training?
Right, so we'll start with the rare species. So sometimes we can actually get away with having smaller image sets. And how we do that is we kind of use the image set to generate more images. So we flip them, we like mirror them, we turn them upside down, and like, so that's called data augmentation. And in terms of the similarity.
Okay, thank you. This will be the end of the Q&A session. Thank you for your sharing.
Thank you.
So let's move on to our next NGO, which is Ocean Free Sea. Ocean Free Sea promotes ocean literacy and ocean protection in Hong Kong. The outstanding challenge is to have a one-stop solution to collect, monitor, and analyze marine waste data. Hence, to make prediction and drive insights. You can also scan the QR code for more information. We have 3 startups in total hacking for this solution. First is Carbon Base. Are you ready? Let's start the presentation now.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Max Sal. I'm the founder and CEO of Carbon Base. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. What I want to present with you is a solution we've designed to help Hong Kong's maritime health and reduce ocean plastic waste. So first, let's start with the problem statement. As many of you guys are familiar, we have a huge plastic problem, and this plastic problem is accelerating specifically in our oceans. It's very difficult and expensive to identify where exactly this plastic is. It's also very difficult to identify ways to remove it efficiently and effectively from our neighboring shoreline. And we believe that this is actually going to only compound over the next 10, 20 years. So we need to find a way to engage the common public to be extremely aware of the way that plastic shows up in their lives, as well as to incentivize them to care and participate in the ocean plastic removal problem. Beyond plastic is also the backdrop of the larger environmental problem. We're destroying biodiversity with the amount of non-digestible waste in the ocean. We're destroying water quality. And finally, we're threatening the food security of our citizens and participants in this Hong Kong SAR region. And again, we need to think about climate change in that context as well. So we believe that there's actually something really unique happening, which is that there is a global conversation around the effect of climate change and the desire to price carbon, which actually is also going to finance the ability to remove plastic from our oceans. There's a really interesting concept called blue carbon, which actually accounts for is a carbon credit created specifically through the effective management of water resources. And here at Carbon Base, we are trying to use the financial ecosystem of the carbon credit model to actually drive environmental solutions for public health. So threats of maritime waste, as many of you guys are undoubtedly familiar, there's toxic effects to phytoplankton. There are crazy digestive problems that animals go through from eating these things. And finally, we're destroying a lot of the healthy ecosystem around the ocean with the threat of this plastic waste. So what we want to do is identify our solution to incentivize the individual people to care and participate in ocean plastic waste cleanup. And briefly about ourselves, we are building an AI and blockchain solution to actually mobilize individual action and at the same time help companies track and sort of understand how their waste streams and their carbon emissions flow through their supply chains. So our solution is broken into 4 parts. First, we have input, and here input is going to be both a mobile app as well as a web application, allows individuals to take pictures and identify where exactly they see plastic waste happening. Similar to the gentleman from Hong Kong, we then process it and we upload this data into a server, and there we geotag the location as well as the supporting coordinates. We also have a neural network trained in the background. Specifically here, we're using the YOLO version 4. YOLO stands for you only look once, and it's a particular very efficient form of neural network. And then for a training set, we're using the Microsoft COCO dataset. So Microsoft COCO is the context, common objects in context dataset. And so it's about 2.5 million labeled instances with 300,000 images. Finally, we have the 4th part, which incentivizes individuals to do this, right? So why do people care? In addition to goodwill, we also believe that people need to have a financial incentive, and this is where the sort of blue carbon ocean credit can come in to actually finance the creation of this valuable data set. In terms of web stack, we've built for the MVP, the neural network. It's currently hosted on the Microsoft Azure. We also have a Python Flask web server, and finally, upload function. Unfortunately, I can't fit that into this demo, so I want to show it to you if you want in person, but basically that's our sort of technical creation. I want to identify here the use of the YOLO sort of model is really interesting because traditionally in GPU training takes a lot of effort, it's very expensive. By drawing on a particular set of layering the neural network nodes, we can actually have a much more efficient result without having to run the model through the data set again and again. I believe this is important because there are limited data sets available out there for ocean plastic today. So we want to maximize the signal we draw from each particular picture. In terms of value proposition, what we think is unique here is that most people see plastic and undoubtedly they are frustrated and angry, but there's nothing more they can do. And by actually creating this very sort of crowdsourced solution, 1, they feel like they're actually participating, and 2, we start being able to see where exactly the plastic can come from. right? So one of the key questions we discovered through interviews with Ocean 33 in the process of this is actually to see, not only is the plastic created in Hong Kong, it might be also created in other neighboring regions. How do you actually identify the source of this plastic and then be able to stop it at the source as well? And then the other part of it is once we do know where it accumulates, we also need to find ways to reduce it. And we think that the sort of extended version of this is to also use this data set to then effectively inform robotics and other types of solutions to go and collect this waste. In our phase 2, we also want to use the power of remote sensing. So we looked extensively into the use of satellite imagery and sort of data monitoring. We think that this is a viable solution, but it's a bit more cost expensive and needs to be augmented with on-the-ground information, right? There's also the ability to use drone images, which can sort of access parts of the geography that's relatively expensive or inaccessible to people. So the long-term goal for us is to generate a series of time series images that not only records the amount and type of plastic, but also the status of the sort of blue carbon ecosystem around that plastic. And we also want to create this economy for ocean carbon offsetting. So as companies that produce plastic, want to take a more active approach to reducing their environmental footprint, they can actually use the blue carbon credits to finance, the activity of NGOs and cleanup crews. In terms of pilot, we sort of scoped out a 4-month pilot program in Hong Kong, specifically in this region, then maybe expanding to other parts of Southeast Asia. And on our existing platform, Carbon-Base, we also have a vibrant reward ecosystem today called seeds. And so these seeds are given to participants who use our platform to understand their personal carbon footprint and their personal environmental protection. We want to expand the seed program to also include the submitting of citizen science data information. In terms of budget estimation, we think that the 4-month pilot we can do for somewhere around 100,000 Hong Kong dollars. Mostly would go towards financing the machine learning aspect, both the talent as well as the server costs, and some of it for peripheral support, hardware, and image collection. In terms of teams, there's myself. So I was a former data scientist in Silicon Valley, came to Hong Kong to work in finance and investments, and more recently started Carbon-Base. We have Karen, who was an ex-Microsoft data science person, Chris, who's a PhD in astrophysics at Hong Kong U, and finally Yi, who is a very long veteran of the carbon markets. He's been last 6 years at Cathay doing the Cathay's carbon credit program. In terms of our reputation, we've been invited to speak at the KPMG Smart City Conference. We've hosted one of the TEDx Countdown events, and this last weekend we were part of the Miracle Plus YC, formerly known as YC China's startup program in Beijing. We also have advisors and mentors from blockchain, game ecosystem design, social impact, and carbon emission. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your presentation. Now we'll also start our Q&A section. We will have Tina to start the question.
Thanks. Hi. If I understood this correctly, this solution is an app plus drone to collect data. So my question is, what's Ocean 3C's role in this whole initiative, and how does it link to their problem statement, and how do you guys work? What's their role in it? I'm missing that link.
Sure.
Thanks.
So we've talked to Ms. Isabel a few times during the case of sort of preparing for this. We understood that one of the key activities Ocean 3C does today is actually to educate the sort of populace of Hong Kong, especially young people in Hong Kong, specifically about the problems of plastic. And we believe that our sort of key focus is actually to use this participatory aspect, right? Every young person in Hong Kong has a cell phone today. Most of the cell phones are used for playing games. We want to use those cell phones, empower them to use the cell phones to actually participate in effective data collection. And as parents and their kids go to the beach, go to their natural walk through life, they are now incentivized to spot occurrences of plastic waste, to pay attention to it, and then also to upload the information which can be used for collection later on. And I think one of the other things that came up during our conversation with Ocean 3C is actually how do we create an opportunity for Hong Kong to be a leader in the blue carbon design scheme. So blue carbon as a concept is currently mostly a conversation happening in Washington, D.C. with the VERA standard. And we want to use Hong Kong's unique strength as actually a sort of maritime-focused region of the world and also a finance hub to actually create frameworks to incentivize and standardize the emergence of this blue carbon idea.
Thank you. Do other judges have questions as well? Ivy, please.
Hi, Max. Quick question about how are you going to implement the pilot? You said you need to reach the public to increase the awareness. Where would be the public that you are looking for to get this pilot to be implemented?
Yeah, this is a great question. So I think we can actually start with, again, the young people, right? So today, we're incubated out of Hong Kong U. We want to actually engage with all of the university students, age 18 to 24 or 23, and actually have them download and install this mobile application. So as they go through their recreational activities, they become our sort of first batch of nodes, right, around the world. They're very used to using their phones to take pictures. We just want to have them focus on a particular set of pictures, right, and make it seamless for them to update it. I think beyond that, we also want to work with the existing NGOs and the many companies that organize beach cleanups, right? They also can be a great source of data collection as well. And I think that, we're targeting maybe like 5,000 to 10,000 people, right? I think if we have that level of coverage, we will probably be the largest citizen science, sort of intake effort in this Greater Bay Area, at least at this stage. And I don't think it's too difficult to arrive there. Thank you.
So we'll have our final question from Yvonne.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So I can see very well the value for education and awareness, but I'm curious, how would you actually address the pain point? How do you see that this information and the awareness generated would actually make a difference to reducing the amount of waste that we see around us or that's generated?
So I have 15 seconds. I'll address that in 2 sentences. First sentence is that most people are irresponsible with their plastic because they don't see the ultimate end result. We think if half the population of Hong Kong starts paying attention to this, they would also reduce their environmental footprint with regards to plastic. And the second piece is by identifying specifically where on the geography this plastic is showing up, we can actually model the backtrack of saying, okay, where can we find the initial sources of this? And then there's additional compliance requirements to stop it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. So next, we'll have Carbon World Limited to start their presentation. Carbon World, please. So are you ready?
Yes.
Let's start the presentation now.
Hello, everybody. I'm very glad to be here, not just a startup to present to you what we have been doing in Hong Kong, Macau, GBA. We focus on the name first. Carbon World actually is a very good name in Chinese, 碳世界, which is very good if we are doing well, okay? But what's the problem now? Actually, we have lots of plastic bottles because we enjoy very good beverage, okay? But at the same time, we provide a very bad impact to the environment. Let's see the video first. How can I play the video here? Oh, so I can't play the video. Can the technical help? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this shows the recycle rate for the 10 years before. Okay. Just give you some differences. That's the production of PET bottle. Okay. Now, but the first picture is the recycle rate. Very big difference because everybody now just blame, oh, we have not enough recycling facility. And that's the reason why a lot of bottles go into the waterway, eventually go to the ocean, harm our ecosystem, harm our wildlife. So we see this kind of NGO will arrange different kind of social impact event. Ask the family, ask the volunteer go to the beach, clean day by day, okay? But eventually, lots of bottles coming to the ocean. So we really want to have proposed a very good, effective way to stop the causes, okay? Without stop the causes, bottles still fall into the water, okay? Wildlife still harmed, our ecosystem still, detrimental by this kind of careless mistake. Not just the developing country, the developed country, just like Hong Kong, we actually propose PRS, Producer Responsible Scheme. But at the same time, we better have some trustworthy collection network, not just recycle bin. Okay, recycle bin without the IoT system, actually, it can't help because everybody here support environmental, okay? But you don't really know what exactly we have to put into the recycle bin. Eventually, recycle bin become another rubbish bin, okay? We need to take actions, otherwise, we have limited time. We can't enjoy our world, no 嘆世界 at all. So what exactly our long-term, solution? Actually, we have to stop the cause. I think 3R is the most important principle, but they never mention about stop using anything. But we have to do something when we consume, okay? When we enjoy the bottle, but actually you have to find a way to recycle. That is the most important education element in school, in the public, okay? So what we have to do is to build a circular economy. Producers have lots of bottle drink, that's fine, because they provide economic benefit, enjoyment. But at the same time, they have to do something to guarantee the bottle from customer have to be, properly recycled. No matter you use a incentive or a deposit, but we have to do something, okay, immediately. Then what RVM, Carbon World doing is to provide the machine, because we design the machine. We build the machine, okay? And then we arrange, pick up, make sure no single bottle go to landfill, incinerator, or the water course, of course. And then we arrange the proper recycler to take care of all these kind of recyclable. Because with a separation source, we can reduce the transportation cost and then reduce the troublesome of recycling process later on, okay? That makes recycling, upcycling more possible. This is what we are doing now. We provide design, provide, operate, RVM, provide mobile apps incentives to attract people, keep recycling with some track record and then incentive, all in mobile phone. Thank you for the advancement of technology, okay? Oh, okay. But we won't forget, we are really do something which is meaningful to help our environment. So we make arrangement with the downstream operator, Baguio, in Dolama in Thailand, and then Taiwan, okay? So we make sure bottles or container come to the right point to be recycled. Actually, recyclables are raw materials. So we separate our system into two parts. One is the user action. We keep recycling and get points. And then on the other side, we take all the recyclable to the downstream operator, turn it into raw material or even the products and sell to the consumer. So this is our RVM machine in Hong Kong, in Macau, in Shenzhen. Actually, we are promoted to Australia, Singapore, even Scotland, okay? RVM can be everywhere. in school, in MTR, in our shopping mall, the government building, and even in cyberport. Okay. We link with the AR, 5G, big data. Okay. Actually, we want it to be not just a machine. We want it as a media for CSR, and at the end of the game is CO2 can turn into the ESG report, which is good for the listed company. Okay, the AI system can identify different kind of thing. Hope we all here can join together. Okay, with limited resources to make our world greener and sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. So we'll start our Q&A session now. May Tina please ask the first question? Tina, please.
Thank you. For the proposed solution, while you have identified the gap in collection, logistics, and recycling, how much would it cost to solve the problem by using your machines?
Oh, very good question. Actually, we are a IT company as well because we have track and trace system. IoT, actually, we put some binful sensor and to monitor the machine operation. And now, actually, we work with the 5G operator to make the identification and then the problem more precise and concise, so we can know what exactly happening in our machine when there is complaining. Okay, we also try to arrange some pickup company, logistic company, with our apps. When the bin about full, we send a signal to the La Move or the Uber company. The participant driver will come to our machine, use a specific QR code to open the bag to the local, the green center, which is supported by EPD. So we just divided this kind of point to point to typo, normally the recycle point, very far away. We just make it, very short distance. But someone who care environmental to take care of the bottle in our machine to the local community center, for example. Okay, that is really cost effective. Sometimes our machine will have compactor inside. Okay, if the source is separated, which is quite identical, just PET we collect, the door will open. Because I can't show the video here. Actually, we have a lot of video to show you how to operate the machine. Okay, we have a lot of data in our database. So people come to our machine, they have to scan the barcode first. Okay, if the door won't open, actually it is not a qualified bottle the machine will collect. Okay, that is what we have been doing to improve the user experience and the cost effectiveness.
Thank you. May other judges have questions as well? Alex, please.
Alex, thank you.
Hey, thank you for the presentations. You've mentioned about the incentive for the use of the app. I'm interested to know what incentive you're providing.
We divide it into three categories. One is normally one bottle, we just simplify as a one carbon coin, okay? Just like a stamp. You store all these kind of stamp in your apps, and actually there is a lot of CSR sponsorship, okay? Also in our apps, you can choose. First of all, the donation to the NGO, okay? Because I give 1 cent, not 20 cents from my company as a nominal value to make sure the plastic bottle is not waste, is worth money, okay? That is what we are doing. But actually the bottler will give 100 points for some brand, okay? They return. And at the same time, the money can be transferred to the Octopus card or the other virtual bank account. So we have promote financial inclusion. Okay. Another thing is we have a lot of different kind of coupon. Okay, to redeem with a healthy product we try to promote green products, okay, not just the normal product, because the environmental products sometimes need a lot of marketing costs. They even not exist when we are aware there is a green products. So eco-media, we can promote more the green product in our network. Okay, this is social impact. We have
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Carbon World Limited, for sharing.
Thank you.
So next, we will have our next startups, Open Ocean Engineering, to start the presentation.
Hello.
Okay.
Is that?
Please wait a few seconds. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, let's start the presentation now.
Okay. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Utkarsh Goyal. I'm the co-founder and CTO of Clearbird, Open Ocean Engineering. At Clearbird, we build water trash collecting robot swarms. So before I actually give you the proposal that we are making for this challenge, allow me to give you some background of the company itself. Clearbird is a self-navigating, self-charging robotic system that has AI camera on board that can detect and collect trash. Then the swarm robotic system brings the trash to shore. We've been developing Clearbird for about a year now, and along with that, we've been building an object detection to detect trash. While doing this development process, we realized that there's one major challenge. There are no existing data sets for plastic trash. In addition, there are no such community efforts to build these data sets that can help in AI applications specifically. We were so desperate to make a solution ourselves that we built an online tool just to build a data set for trash detection. We took all the pictures that we have from Clearbird itself, and we fed it into this labeling tool. This labeling tool can be used by the community, by us, to generate data sets for us. And then we train on those data sets to run the model on Clearbird. Through this process, we already have 4,000 annotations already. On the left is a video that shows how this labeling tool works. And we've worked with NGOs such as Plastic Free Seas that engages students to give this data online on these labeling tools and also sort of help us label them. We already have that community with us. We also have all the online tools ready to use as of now, and you can actually go to clearbird.dev/label to use them. Now, this is where Ocean 3C and Clearbird align, because both of us want to build this trash data set. This is why we are proposing Cleanera. In Cleanera, a user can take a picture of the trash in front of them that they're collecting, add tags to these pictures, such as plastic bottle or soda can. This data is in real time allowing us to improve our AI in the backend, and also giving users a better sort of understanding of what sort of pictures they're taking. For example, in this picture, you see a plastic bottle. We give them information of more than about that it's just a plastic bottle. We give them what's the estimated weight of plastic in it, and also potentially what brand that plastic bottle is made by. Moreover, this data can be consolidated for better analysis in terms of like spatial format. So we can better understand what sort of trash is being generated in what parts of Hong Kong. And there's a lot that we can do with AI here. There can be a lot of data analysis about the community impact that is being made, especially through these events, such as beach cleanups and other school events. Through this app, our goal is to build the biggest trash data set for AI detection. And also, we realize that sharing this data with scientists and researchers can make a huge positive impact to the society. That is why we want to build this for open source. We want to build this open source for research, where researchers have access to a simple dashboard, where they can have a look at all the analytics that our system is generating. Well, then you'd ask, why us for this solution? Well, let me tell you, 70% of this application infrastructure is already done. we have the backend solution already ready for us that can be plugged in to this app itself. We've also done a lot of AI development and the supporting tools around it to train and develop an AI solution for us. What we want from you is to give us the financial support to make this a reality. We have just as much vested interest as Ocean 3C to make this happen. We estimate about $95,000 of development cost, which includes software development costs, compensation to developers, and also cloud hosting. And we also estimate about $10,000 in community engagement, marketing, outreach, and such other activities. In the past 1 year, we've won multiple awards. We've won the Alibaba Jumpstarter competition. We've also been a part of AI for Earth Challenge, and we won the Plastic Data Challenge as well. Thank you so much for listening to me, and this is Open Ocean Engineering. I'm open to any questions. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. So let's start the Q&A session. We also have Tina to ask our first question. Tina, please.
Hi, thanks. I have a question on how the invention that you have, you told us that it's almost done, but I don't think I got much information about how exactly you would apply it. So it's basically an app, right, where you will collect data. Is there any other information that you can provide to make us understand,
right,
other than the app, how does it solve our problem?
Right, sure. Just to give you a summary again, at Clearbot, we are actually building a robot that can detect and collect trash. So that is one part of the solution where we can already use AI to understand what sort of trash is getting collected by the robot. This means we have a lot of detailed analysis about what's the trash flow, what sort of brands these sort of trash is generated by, and a lot of other information, such as the material of the trash that we are collecting. So as far as I understand, this technology can be very well used in this app as well, and can be leveraged by Ocean 3C to sort of raise that awareness about what sort of trash exists and sort of have a much better educational impact on the society here in Hong Kong as well. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. Do other judges also have questions? Yes, Mr. Yu, please.
Thank you very much for your presentation. And you already mentioned the cost of this project. I would like to know, is the cost for the whole application period or just for a certain time frame?
So the timeline that we presented is for 4 months of developer cost, as well as the cloud hosting. And this cost increases as the time goes by, but it's a very small cost in terms of maintenance because it significantly reduces developer costs, right?
Doris, please.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Correct me if I'm wrong. One of the applications is you have the mobile application encourage the citizen to take the photo of the trash and do the tagging manually, right? Is that right?
Sorry?
Is that you encourage the citizen to use your application to take the photo of the trash and do the manual tagging, right?
So there are two parts of it. Yes, we do encourage the users to do a manual tagging, but we also at the same time try to provide information to them as well in a form of feedback, so that they are more interested to use the application and can understand more about the stuff that they are doing.
There will be another follow-up question about that. How could you encourage the citizen to use that app to do the manual tagging and photo tagging?
Sure, that's a great question, actually. So as of now, we sort of made this application a sort of gamification process, where we emphasize on the fact that we give you back some information on what impact you're making. And I understand that it will be a little difficult to encourage all citizens to use this application, but I believe that it's very nice it's very interesting for those citizens who are really interested in making a social impact to use this application, and we are already providing them a great way to sort of understand that for themselves. And in the future, we definitely are open to exploring more ways of getting all citizens interested in this. I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Thank you. I think, any judges still have any quick question? If no, we'll end the Q&A section now. So thank you, Open Ocean Engineering, for sharing. We'll have a short break now, and the event will resume at 3:45. Get ready and come for our coming event. Thank you.
It's amazing how much humans take from the sea.
Costa Rica is 92% oceans. We want it to be sustainable.
Illegal fisheries is a great threat. It's having an impact in our oceans and in our economy and in our environment.
There's many issues with sourcing sustainable seafood. We are trying to push for that accountability on the water.
Using Microsoft AI, we empower governments, suppliers, and NGOs at scale around the world to prevent illegal fishing in a way that just wasn't possible before. At OceanMind, we receive billions of data points, satellite images, optical imagery, radar imagery, infrared data. We used Microsoft AI to recognize different types of fishing activity, the identity of the vessel, and whether that vessel had a license. We find the suspicious activities so that our analysts can look and investigate it, and governments can enforce more effectively.
Now we have data, we can identify vessels, we can identify patterns of illegal fishery and support the Coast Guard.
The ability to have third-party verification is crucial in protecting us and our brand as we sell seafood throughout the world.
We are making our first API available through Microsoft AI for Earth to anyone who wants to help fight illegal fishing.
The time for taking care of the oceans is now.
We have the capabilities to change the needle on the sustainability of fishing. I am convinced that we will make a difference.
Like never before, our world is changing. Faced with some of our most critical challenges, human ingenuity triumphs. Today, the Microsoft AI for Good initiative enables a person with an idea to accelerate it, to give it scale, to create change for the better.
Microsoft AI will help our work by empowering people to take action.
Through AI for Earth, photos can now help save a species. With AI for accessibility, the visual world becomes an audible experience.
Sanitarium peanut butter.
And with AI for humanitarian action, first responders can target their efforts faster than ever before.
It feels humbling to know that I'm actually helping another human being.
Today, we are empowering others to forge new paths, to fight famine before a crisis strikes, and protect ecosystems by identifying forests down to a single tree.
We have the forest that we have today. We can't change that. What we can change is the future.
Microsoft AI is fueling some of the most passionate and creative people on our planet, with the help of citizen scientists, to make change, once thought impossible, real.
AI will know and understand and model based on the child interaction.
AI unleashes new possibilities to impact our world. And together, we're not just dreaming it, we're doing it.
There are an estimated 90,000 threatened species across the globe. To understand what puts a species at risk, we need to know where are they born, how many survive, where do they go, how far do they go.
At Wildbook, we are using an algorithm to digitally tag individual animals, much like a human fingerprint. So this is a new whale shark for science.
Yes, and we named it Wilma.
Wilma the whale shark.
Microsoft AI gives us the building blocks to analyze public streams of photos and videos and identify individual animals in an instant. AI can determine location, date of sighting, migration patterns, and even an animal's social group. And an intelligent agent can contact the contents owner and ask for the missing detail. Microsoft's AI for Good initiative gives us the technology to create a comprehensive view of the planet's biodiversity. In the last 10 years, we've identified 10 times more whale sharks than ever recorded in human history. By leveraging citizen scientists together with researchers, we can form conservation policies. Microsoft AI will help us accelerate our work by empowering people to take action. What we get back is, wow, this is amazing.
Welcome back. Our final group of NGO is WWF Hong Kong. WWF Hong Kong aims to ensure the world's most important fisheries and ocean ecosystems, to monitor illegal activities and collect water quality data in marine protected areas. You may also scan the QR code for information. Now, we also have 3 startups hacking for this challenge. First will be Carbon Base. Carbon Base, are you ready? Okay, let's start the presentation now.
Thank you guys very much. Hello again. We have also been spending the last few weeks thinking a lot about the preservation of the natural habitat and the living creatures inside the habitat. And so one of the other tools we've been building is called Poseidon. And the key idea here is the fishing population in Hong Kong actually has seen a dramatic decline in the last 30 years. There's actually been a huge spike of fishing boats and then a huge dramatic decrease. And at the same time, the industrial activity in the sort of the Greater Bay Area has actually decreased the quality of the water. So what we want to do is propose some tools, techniques, and new technology to help understand this phenomenon and also give the government and other NGOs the ability to respond to this problem. So what we're doing is we are using remote sensing to detect illegal fishing and to also monitor the water quality. And more comprehensively, we want to cover areas that are prone to overfishing and also understand exactly how the boats and other fishing vessels are using this space. And here, before we start, I just want to give you a quick brief of all of the different things that are important to measure. So when we think about water, it's not only the number of fish inside, but also the amount of chlorophyll, right, the amount of discolored organic waste and particulate matter, the turbidity, the total suspended sediments, the water temperature, sea surface area, and also chemical oxygen levels of demand. We started out doing a lot of research on available IoT sensors, and we found that there actually are commercially available sensors that are not too expensive to deploy. And we have a sort of appendix of all of the ones and price points. Suffice to say, I think this is actually a commercially viable solution to be able to add these IoT sensors into very strategic areas of the water. In particular, we want to build around the Arduino sort of hardware base, because I think that's the one that's most extendable, and also be able to transmit data to this data capture system. So this is a visual demonstration of what Poseidon will look like. There is 4 very particular, highly used areas for fishing. So if you see the map of Hong Kong, it's split between sort of the south region, the blue area, the orange area, which is sort of the southeast region, and then the dark blue, which is the eastern region, and this is actually where most of the fish is caught today. And then there's this little green rectangle, the inland region. So what we hope to build with Poseidon is actually several things. First is a visual inspection tool, so you can sort of see where are the existing ships out there and where are the hotspots of the ship concentration. And on the right-hand side, time series data that will actually allow you to see various concentration activity. And here's a sort of alert system. So as there are more ships in a particular area, 230 versus the average sort of baseline, maybe over several hours of 7, like it starts actually flagging this particular piece of information. So very similar to Mr. Ying's demonstration of onshore, right, sort of hotspots. We also want to produce offshore hotspots. And then another piece that we want to highlight is actually using the tools of blockchain to actually engage the citizenry. Right? Many times when we think about the public good, one of the key problems we face is actually that everyone thinks the common area, right, belongs to nobody, and as a result, it's up to us to try to take as much of it as possible before everyone else takes it, and then it's gone, right? And this is actually the tragedy of commons we know and hate. What Microsoft's done really interestingly is Microsoft actually worked with a German-based company to create the Microsoft Badger badges. And I don't know if the representative of Microsoft have seen this. It's actually Microsoft's first NFT experience, and they've actually created little, cute badges that represent accomplishments that developers can use in the Microsoft ecosystem. And we actually, took some inspiration and said, okay, what if we did that for the maritime conservation effort, and allowed the citizenry to actually own, digital representations of the biodiversity that's present in Hong Kong's waters. So here's a mock-up of what that looks like. Here we have, coral, we have fish, and this is simultaneously a tool to help educate the exact sort of beautifulness of the underwater ecosystem, as well as actually give people a chance to at least mentally own a piece of this biodiversity. And how the NFT system works is that they build on the general idea of blockchain to create a digitally scarce and unique item. So our first entry into this actually was the endangered animal species foray. And there actually we've been talking to the Panda Lab of WWF, which is actually based out of Germany. And Panda Lab is kind of like the digital innovation arm of the World Wildlife Fund. And they have a problem with poaching, So there's very beautiful animals whose fur is used for collector items. And how do you actually encourage the citizenry not to destroy these animals, but actually to preserve them? And so we're sort of brainstorming with them the idea of a wildlife credit, embodied in these NFTs. So we decided to apply that idea to the underwater world and create NFTs, specifically representing coral, representing fish, representing crustaceans. And we believe this is actually a very exciting way for individual people to say, wow, I can actually own a digital representation that's unique, identifiable, and actually passable to future generations that actually represent this thing. These NFTs today, I want to highlight, are not so usable, but they're incredibly, there's the potential for them to be engaging is actually very high. Because as games are built today, they start incorporating the NFTs into their game design. And unlike the traditional experience where every particular digital experience you have is self-contained, the blockchain now enables these items to be transferred between each game. So if you own, for example, a coral, you can actually bring that coral with you to different online experiences you can imagine. So fusing all of this together, there is the sort of data collection piece, there is the dashboard creation piece, and I think the data feeds are not only going to be coming from ourselves, but also from radar companies, and as well as underwater monitoring cameras. I think the Clearbot guys have a beautiful solution and one that's very innovative. We want to sort of aggregate all this information together and actually display it into sort of a complete dashboard that the regulators and the monitors can use. And then finally, we can actually allow the citizenry to have a visceral participation with the declining biodiversity. If they own an NFT and the biodiversity decreases, we will destroy these NFTs, proportional to how much is being destroyed. So there's actually a clear relationship between what you have and what exists out in the world. Again, I think budget-wise, we think there's a reasonably cost structure to sort of create some of these solutions. And I guess to highlight another subsection of our carbon-based team, in addition to the ones you saw earlier, we also have Matthew Smith, who was the former head of IoT market development for Cisco for about 10 years. So he's a very seasoned industry professional in IoT. We have Jenny, who's on product management side. Ash, who's here with me today, doing a lot of the UI, UX design, and also the game design. So we think these are very potent combinations for our project going ahead, and everything else you've seen before. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your presentation. So next will be our Q&A session. So please be reminded again, each startup will have 4 minutes Q&A session time. So we invite Tina Chen to ask our first question, please. Tina?
Sure. Thanks. You have put some costs, initial costs, but can I get a ballpark figure of how much it would cost, for example, for a year to address WWF's challenges? Because what you have said is just initial cost. And I might have missed the part about how do you tackle illegal fishing. Can you kind of explain a bit?
Sure. So I'll just talk about legal fishing first, and then I'll talk about the cost second. So legal fishing, one of the ways so we read a lot of papers about this, right? Because we were trying to understand like what does academic literature say. And one of the clear ways to tackle illegal fishing is actually just to look for areas where no fishing activity is supposed to occur, right? And then try to identify when boats get into that region. And I think the most reliable way that we found actually for data acquisition is actually radar. I think radar has the ability to sort of sweep within a 100 nautical mile area and actually look at the concentration of ships. So with the dashboard view that you saw earlier, we have this. Let me show the slides. We have the ability to identify clusters of ships, right, or trespassing ships through areas where they're not supposed to be, off season, protect their fisheries, and use that as a way to see when that fishing activity happens. Right. Then it's up to the maritime patrol or other people to be able to verify the identity of the ship, verify their permits, and verify whether or not they have the authority to be there. With regards to the cost structure, I think the challenge of technical development always is actually balance the things that are initially usable to be good enough so you can actually get market feedback, and then to invest more technology. We want to avoid overbuilding and then realizing the solutions we're building are actually inadequate or incomplete. So our initial budget, I think it's pretty modest. I think it doesn't cost us a lot to build the dashboard, and then we need to sort of secure 1 or 2 data providers, especially on the radar side. The IoT devices, I think we're very lucky because being close to Shenzhen, we've actually looked at the factory prices of some of these things, and it's not that expensive. So we can import some of those and sort of scope out a particular pilot area.
Do we have any other questions from our judges? Yvonne, please.
Thank you very much. Yeah, just to follow up on the illegal fishing, I'm trying to picture this. So if you have boats that have entered, for example, Hoi Ha 1, which is your test area, I understand, then by the time you've identified them, and then in real time, and then you notify Marine Police or Marine Department, surely the boats will have gone. I can't quite envision how this is going to help to reduce illegal fishing. If you could briefly explain a little about that, please.
Sure. So I think that I think if I was to think about this in a complete solution sense, right, what I would actually ask the government to do is actually to tag every boat with a communicator device / like sort of tagging device, right? Similar to the cars and the waste trucks actually having their own GPS tracking as well. And so if one of the boats is registered, enters the area, like you have a direct line of communication with that boat, you can say, what are you doing there? Like, stop fishing immediately, or, cease and desist. And if a boat shows up that doesn't actually register on your initial database, then that is clearly a black boat, right? It needs to be taken care of in a more aggressive fashion. The part of chasing down the boats and sort of, finding them, I think is more of a enforcement exercise, and it was outside the scope of our challenge. But what we can also imagine doing is, in addition to the sort of IoT, water quality stuff, we can also just install a bunch of cameras that actually take pictures of the boats in the areas where you want to protect fishing from. But happy to go in more detail. Thank you.
Thank you, Carbon Base. So next, we'll have our next startups, Clear Robotics Limited.
Thank you. All right. Well, good afternoon again, everybody. I'm back. So this time we're actually going to present the solution that our company makes and has been distributing now for about a year. My name is Siddhant. Today I'm proud to present to you the Open Ocean Camera as a solution for the World Wildlife Fund's challenges. Now, the challenge itself is divided into 2 parts. So you're going to see me do 2 kind of slightly different pitches today. The first is around coral reef bleaching. The challenge is around monitoring 24/7 and lack of indicator data. So you have an incomplete picture of what's happening. And the second is around illegal fishing. So 10 years after the Marine Park Ordinance, illegal fishing is still an issue. So obviously monitoring is not happening as good as we want it to. So let's start off with OCAM for coral health. So this is actually something that's really important to our mission as a company, because we were inspired to build this product initially because of a Netflix documentary called Chasing Coral. And they had a lot of challenges around cameras. So funnily enough, we're super excited to be pitching literally our camera for a coral reef solution today. So the challenges, as we discussed, are it's not regularly monitored. So it's very difficult to monitor 24/7. And the sizable information gap. So you might have a photograph, but you don't know the temperature data, you don't know the salinity, or just oxygen levels, so on and so forth. And so what we like to propose is our open ocean camera. So our current solution has a floating solar panel that can allow it to operate 24/7. Off the solar panel, through 4G, we can do a real-time stream of the data from the camera back to shore. And most importantly, we are already integrated with a number of water quality sensors, including pH, temperature, depth, conductivity, salinity, which is kind of one, dissolved oxygen, and also turbidity measurement. And having all of those factors over a long period of time would help us kind of monitor these bleaching events much more effectively and kind of make sense of them. Again, we also have our app. So as I discussed at the last presentation, you can take these cameras, put them out to sea, and you can actually you can stream back onto the mobile app, and we're already up on Google Play and iOS. And the app also lets you control the photo parameters, which underwater becomes even more difficult and is even more important. So you can control things like exposure control, et cetera, depending on like how clear the water is and what you can actually see. And finally, so our AI software isn't completely relevant to necessarily just monitoring our data about coral bleaching. But one of the things we can do is do, for example, fish counts, some level of biomass estimation. And so if a bleaching event does happen, or if you're doing restoration, this would be useful to figure out how well the reef is performing in that environmental event. Right, so overall, we already have a deployment in Hoya 1, actually, at an artificial reef site with HKU. And this, again, is our deployment from Indonesia for our camera, so it's deployed 50 meters deep. Overall, we save the cost of having to go out to sea and deploy cameras again and again. The sensors are integrated, so you don't have to buy separate sensors. Data processing cost is lower because it's all remote and it's done using our AI. And if we put our cameras out 24/7, 365, we should be generating a lot more data about the sort of environment, right? And as discussed earlier, we have clients in 4 continents, including the government here, and Stanford University, University of Queensland, and University of Hong Kong. So in terms of pricing, the camera starts at about 7,000 Hong Kong dollars. The most expensive version is about 30,000 Hong Kong dollars. That's with the full solar panel, the floating panel, and remote streaming. In terms of our AI, since a lot of it's already built up, and we actually have a lot of species already on the thing, we expect about 30,000 Hong Kong dollars to set up the infrastructure separately for the World Wildlife Fund. And again, the delivery timeline's about 3 to 4 months. So 2 months, we should be able to deliver something, and then another 2 months on the site to make sure that the deployment's going fine. And there's huge social impact, again, of what we're doing, because we're able to empower researchers to generate a lot more data for a lot cheaper. So yeah, that is the OCAM for coral reef monitoring. So I'd like everyone to take a little break. We're going to the second part of the challenge, which is a solution for illegal fishing. So this was something interesting. We tried to see how we could use our existing product to solve this problem. And our understanding was that it's basically around 24/7 monitoring and identification, right? So even if you have a boat, you don't actually know whether it's legal or illegal. So I'd like to propose our solution. It's fundamentally a bit similar. It's a solar-powered camera, this time on the surface of the water. And you have the AI that analyzes both images and sound to make a guess of whether there's a fishing boat in the vicinity. And then what we actually do is use AIS data. So each ship in Hong Kong, in fact, each ship globally, is actually registered under a flag. And so you have the live GPS data if it's out at sea at any point of time. And so what we can do is we can use our camera and sound system to make a guess if there's a fishing boat in the vicinity. And if there is, we can check with the AIS GPS system. If the boat is not there, then it's probably illegal, right? So if the boat is physically present but not it's not declaring its location, that means it's probably illegal, which means we can send a report out to the government and the appropriate action can be taken in time. Also, since we are a camera, we will have some visual of what the boat is. It may not be very clear considering it's at night, but nonetheless. And finally, we have already worked with the FCD. Actually, we are distributing cameras to them already. And further, funnily enough, this project we're doing with Dr. Sadovi here, but we have some experience in building reporting systems to the government. And so there's a lot of issues around data compliance, especially when dealing with government departments that we are familiar with. So in terms of pricing, the illegal fishing monitoring system will not really be very cheap. It's a fairly complex piece of technology, so we expect it to cost around 330,000 Hong Kong dollars. And it will take us about 12 months to realistically deliver this to the point where it's working. However, we are confident that we can do this. We have done projects of this scale before. And so, yeah, that's where we're at. So hopefully, again, please choose us as a winner today. We are directly addressing the challenge with World Wildlife Fund as well. We have a massive impact to conservation technology. We are using the AI and cloud processing partners. And our solution has a payback period. And so it's an investment in some way rather than just a donation. So yeah, thank you so much for your time. Looking forward to your questions and comments.
Thank you for your presentation. So now kickstart the Q&A session. May we have Tina to ask the first question, please?
Hi. I have a similar question about cost. And how long would each of these cameras last for both cases, for your coral monitoring and also for illegal fishing?
Right. So actually, our cameras are designed, well, from an electricity standpoint, they last as long as possible. I mean, they're just solar powered. There's two issues. The first is once in 6 months, you got to clean the panel. But also, more importantly, there's going to be biofouling. So realistically, when you deploy these cameras underwater, after about a month, stuff starts growing on them. And so you need to clean that off. As long as you do that, they should keep working without any issues.
So Alex, please.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I've got two questions. The first one is, I noticed that you put cameras floating on the water. There are lots of recreational activities happening at Hoi Hawaiian every Sunday and Saturday. Sure. How do you solve the privacy problem? This is the first question. The second one is, we have built a marine life center at Hoi Hawaiian. How will you utilize the center to support the whole setup?
Awesome. Thank you. So I'll do, so the first one was around privacy. To be entirely honest with you, that's something we did not think about. But I think a potential solution is that we basically stay under the standards, right? So there's global standards around data compliance and privacy. And also, if we have the AI running on board the camera, we'll never transmit out any data that has somebody's face in it, right? We'd only be transmitting out data of the illegal fishing boats. And that way, you're preventing a privacy problem from a data compliance side. And sorry, I have a bad memory. The second question.
The second one is, we have built a marine life center at Hoi Hawaiian. How would you utilize the center for the setup?
Oh, absolutely. I think that would, that would be absolutely core to this, right? So you could have a camera deployment or more than one camera deployment around the Marine Center, and you could have the data coming back at the Marine Center, a server there processing that, and actually giving information to the scientists about what's happening on different sites or different parts of the reef, kind of, right? So yeah, I think if there's a Marine Center there, that's amazing, because that would be the kind of central focus out of which a lot of this work would go out. Yeah.
Any questions? Yvonne, please.
So I want to ask again about the possible illegal fishing and activities. So as far as I understand, AIS is only on vessels above about 300 tons, something like that, large ones. Mm-hmm. So at the moment, at least, on smaller vessels, they don't have AIS.
Right.
And also, if there's illegal fishing at night, that would be difficult to photograph, although obviously you could get sound. So I'm just wondering, I mean, I do agree that illegal fishing is very important, but have you kind of really thought through how this device and doing these visual approaches can really make a difference?
So that's a good question. So what we know is, like, for most of if you are going out fishing and if you're licensed, then typically you do have to install AIS on your boats. So I don't think that should be a problem. The catch is that there is a possibility that the illegal fishing boat is really tiny, and then, as you said, at night you can't really see it, so you've just got a sound and that's your sort of cue. Yeah, I mean, to be totally honest with you, I think the only real way of finding out is to put it out practically and see, how good those images look like. Can we optimize things around to make this work? But yeah, that's my honest answer.
Any other questions? So we'll end the Q&A session. Thank you for your presentation. So finally, we will have Extra Sensing Limited to present. Okay, are you ready? Yeah. Please start your presentation.
Okay, yeah. Good afternoon, judges, organizer, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, today I would like to present a summary of the proposal for WWF AI for Good Challenge. Yeah, first of all, I would like to introduce my team first. Nigel Cole, yeah, he is responsible for business development in our company. And Julian, yeah, he is responsible for site installation and operation. And me, Kai Taiwan, you can just call me Tai. Yeah, I am responsible for product development and technology development. Yeah. Before I introduce the proposal, I would like to talk briefly about our business and our core competence, technologies. Yeah, we have 3 areas of technology. The first one is Spiderweb. It is a IoT system for machine vibration monitoring. Yeah, and the second one is Extra 4S. The full name is Smart Structural Surveillance System. Yeah, it is an automatic imaging system. Yeah, in that project, we deployed to monitor the ground settlement, yeah, of a construction site. Yeah, and it is fully automatic. Yeah, the third one is Autoscope. Yeah, Autoscope is a collaboration with another startup company, and we help them to develop a autofocus microscope for their micro-algae development. Yeah, and yeah, the main advantage of this system is that you put the water sample under the microscope, and it can do the scanning, stitching, and focusing. Yeah, and some basic functionalities such as counting. I will discuss more later. Yeah, how we can utilize this technology for WWF. Yeah, here it is one example, more detail about the settlement monitoring. Yeah, we utilize the most updated research, yeah, to utilize the perspective geometry to compute the homography and to calculate the actual displacement within accuracy. Yeah. And yeah, we have already deployed and we have just finished the project. Yeah, it is a year-long project, yeah, to help our clients to monitor 24 hours run of the settlement near a construction site. Yeah, here, okay, yeah, how to modify this system for illegal fishing monitoring. Yeah, I checked the website and find that one major problem in Hoi Ha-Wan area is that it is not well covered by the 4G or 5G network. Yeah, only a very, just near the center of the highway is covered by SmartTone 4G network. Yeah, so what we propose is to install the Pentile zoom camera around the Bay Area. Yeah, because I checked from the Google map, the maximum distance, yeah, between or around the Bay Area, maybe around 1.3, 1.5 kilometers. Yeah, so yeah, if we can install several Pentile zoom camera around the Bay Area, then we can cover the whole area, yeah, visually, and we can apply the night vision camera. We have experience, yeah, because we did 24 hours monitoring before, and we can install the Pentile zoom camera with high zoom power that can have a clear vision for about 500 meters distance. Yeah, so if we can install several Pentile zoom camera, then we can cover the whole area. Also, another problem of the site is the power, right? Yeah, a very common solution is to use solar power. Yeah, we can compute how much energy we need. And I believe, yeah, in daytime there may be a regular patrol from the government, right? Yeah, so we don't need much monitoring during the daytime. So we can optimize the system that we store the solar energy in daytime with a battery and use it at the nighttime. Yeah, here is the expected outcome. Yeah, in the project, yeah, a fully automated system And another main point is that how to send the data from the camera station to the internet. Is that we propose to use a LoRa system. We can lay we can lay a LoRa system so that the not the image, but we can have a standalone AI system as the architecture of edge computing, and the ID, the ship ID, we will send through the LoRa system, to a point that can receive 4G signal. It is our solution. Here it is the time span. We need to have a site visit, to identify how many cameras we need, because we don't have much idea about the actual situation, and also we need to collect the baseline, for the ship images. And then we develop the AI and also the hardware for that to ensure that the system can stand alone and verify the energy or the renewable energy is work properly, etc. And the total budget it is about 1.2 million. Most of them are spent on labor and manpower. For the development. Here it is another possible solution for WWF, for water quality monitoring. But for this system, we are not monitoring the chemical content. Instead, we are monitoring the for example, microplastic, microorganism, in water. Here we can use this system to, it is not fully automatic in terms of water sampling. You still need to collect the sample and put the sample under the microscope manually. But for that, you can do all the basic counting. If there's enough baseline, then we can do the image recognition, to identify different species. Here it is the project, and also this is the cost is about 900K. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your presentation. So now kickstart the Q&A section. May we have Tina to ask our first question, please?
I have a question on the illegal fishing part. How do you ensure, or how do you link your data collected with immediate response, because that's what you want to stop in terms of illegal fishing, right? And what's LoRa? Sorry, I'm not an IT expert.
The first question is I addressed the second question first. The LoRa, the full name of LoRa is long range. The distance of the range is about 2 to 4 kilometers. So it is in open area. But the speed is very low. You can just simply think that LoRa is a very slow bit, but very long range Wi-Fi. It is. Just a similar Wi-Fi, but a very long range. The answer of the first question is that because the LoRa is very slow bit, so what we propose to do is to identify the ID on site. By the edge computing. And only the ship ID is identified and sent to the web portal, so that the personnel in WWF or government can verify whether it is illegal or not from their database. And this one can be done in quasi real time.
Any other questions? Mr. Yu, please.
Okay. So how many cameras would you set to make the complete coverage of monitoring in Hua 1?
Yeah, according to our approximation is about 4 to 5. Yeah, it depends on the actual site arrangement. Yeah, how about the large site? Yeah, because there must not be any blockage from the site. So we need to do a site visit, yeah, to identify the actual number. But approximately 4 to 5 camera is our my guess.
Any other questions? Yvonne, please.
Okay, thank you very much. I have a question about the microplastics. Yeah, I think it's really important that these the levels of these are detected. But how will that knowledge, that information on, say, I don't know, the density or the concentration of microplastics, how can that information be used to look at the pain points? In other words, to reduce the generation of plastics or reduce the problem. I'm wondering, because most of those microplastics that are suspended will have come from possibly a very long way away. So what's the connection to the solution by having that knowledge?
Yeah, frankly speaking, it is not directly related to reducing the use of plastic. Yeah, but instead it provides you a convenience way to monitor the actual quality of water. Yeah, and to reduce the manpower. Yeah, and also it is not only for microplastic. Yeah, it can be utilized for other microorganisms in seawater or any water samples. Yeah.
So any quick question? Then thank you, Extracting Limited, for your presentation. So this is the end of the presentations from our startups. And it has been really inspiring to see how technology can play such an important role and be innovative and make a great impact to the environment. It would be great if we could have our panel to give us a few comments and ideas on how technology can actually make an impact to the ecosystem. May we have Doris to share a bit insights on how technology, in a technological perspective, what kind of impact we wish to achieve.
Hello. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for all the presentation. And it's really inspiring that I heard a lot of new solutions making use of the data and AI model to help the society to make it for good. But one thing I want to comment is I would also like to hear more about how to handle the extreme weather situation, because I hear there's a lot of solution talking about the camera and the sensor, things like that. But what if because the weather is changing, the climate change a lot. So what if there's an extreme weather situation, and how could the solution could be sustainable? That's what the thing I want to know more about that. Another thing, and I see there are some groups did a very good job, especially on the citizen engagement, that give a lot of encouragement and the incentive to the citizen, so that the people can be educated in a more efficient way. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, we have heard of a lot of startup solutions, so it would be great. Maybe can we have Ivy Chen to give a few comments on all the solutions we have heard about today from our startups?
Yeah, thank you. Actually, my general impression is the question or the challenges are really difficult, and what I've heard from a number of the startups, they mentioned about to build the database from scratch. Actually, that means that not many companies has tackled those environmental problems, and that's why those databases are not readily available. So, and then it will still take time for people to collect all those images, to build the database, machine learning data for this topic. So hopefully that such type of events would really like, for some of the startup, their proposal is to engage more participation from the community that would help build up the awareness of the importance of preserving the environment to build a sustainable future for us. So I think that would be the awareness that's most important as well from this competition.
Yes, I think it is a really important point. We know that technology can help us to achieve more. Through technology, we can engage more people, even the general public, to know more about how we can take part in the preservation of the ecosystem. So after we have listened all of the solutions, we will now leave to our judges to decide which will be the winning teams of today. So in the meantime, let's start our panel discussion on using AI solution to build more social impact. We are honored to have invited Mr. John Chen Yao, the Chief Executive Officer from Carbon Care InnoLab, and Mr. Henry Lee, Director Specialist Cell from Microsoft Hong Kong, moderated by Ada Ng, Director of Corporate Affairs and Philanthropies from Microsoft Hong Kong, to share their insights with all of us. So let's just pass the stage to them.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the panel session, Use AI Solutions to Build More Social Impact. So today I'm Ada. I am the philanthropy lead of Microsoft Hong Kong. And then I'm the honor to have our two guests with me. One is Mr. John Chen Yao, the Chief Executive Officer of Carbon Care InnoLab. And also we have Mr. Henry Lee, our Director of Specialist Sales of Microsoft Hong Kong. So first, may I briefly share with you why we have the idea of the AI for Good challenge. We are living in an AI world. We know that AI can learn, can perceive, and can reason. It's widely adopted in the commercial world. We know that AI can also be widely adopted for good. We can see that we need more ideas and solutions in Hong Kong to have the AI for good. Therefore, we co-organize this event with Swire Trust, with supported by Environmental Protection Department, also with Cyberport and Carbon Care InnoLab. Our objective is, one, is to encourage more AI for good solution with the help of the startup. Second, we want to inspire more NGOs on the AI power for good. I believe that you guys have already got some insight from the presentation just now. And third, we want to fill the gaps of the ecosystem of AI for good in Hong Kong. We need more people to join in this ecosystem to work together. So now, in this panel, I would like to have this panel to share more about how AI for good solutions can be building more impact to the environmental. So let me kickstart. So my first question to both speakers is the AI adoption in the commercial market is rapidly increasing this year. Do you see any potential of spreading the trend to the sector of for social good? May I invite Chen Yao go first?
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Ada, for inviting me. Apart from AI for good in the environmental field, I also want to steal one moment to talk about accessibility, because the machine with me is built to enable blind persons to access iPhone, computer. So a lot of things can happen if we apply technology in the right way. I'll show them, okay. So by touching this, I can access my WhatsApp, email, internet, everything. Yeah, so very interesting. So, but next time, Ada may organize another session on AI for accessibility. Okay, AI for good. Yeah, definitely there is a lot of potential for AI for good in the environmental field, for NGOs. I feel that a lot of examples can be spoken of. A few years ago, WWF has introduced an app to use blockchain to trace legal fishing products. You know, there are a lot illegal fishing around the world. Is a threat to ecology, the survival of fish, and it will ultimately hurt the livelihood of fishermen as well. So this is one example. But in Hong Kong, there are still very insufficient attention to this. I'll talk about this later because I think it's important for Henry to speak more. So I'll shut up for the moment.
Thank you, Chan Yao. How about Henry?
Yeah, thanks you for the questions, right? Let me answer this in the technology angle, right? Because Ada, you mentioned about, in the commercial world, we have a rapid kind of adoption of AI. How does it apply to AI for good as well, right? I think there are a few reasons why there is a rapid adoption of AI in the commercial world, right? First of all is the technology is becoming more mature, right? In terms of both performance and the accuracy of the AI model, for example, right? I think now is the time it's ready to tackle the real life problems rather than just numbering or financial in the corporate world. The second thing is the cost of using AI has come down quite a lot, right? I'm not talking about the dollar sign of using the AI, right? But the ease of accessing the AI technology, right? So there are many use cases. For example, we don't really need a PhD. We don't really need a team of data scientists to really leverage AI to apply to the use case, right? And because there are lots of technology right now, just like the Microsoft technology. We do provide many automations, or even just plug in your data sets. We do auto MLs that can give you insights on the go, and then really give you the analytic kind of information that you need to help you make better decisions. The last point is, of course, talents, right? Because of the wider use of AI technology in the corporate world, there are lots of developers that has been making great work using AI, and they have also open sourced those technologies, so that it's on the community, it's on GitHub and other open source communities that everyone can leverage those APIs to apply to their own use case. So all this kind of reason that promotes the adoptions of AI in commercial world can really replicate to AI for good, right? Everyone can leverage that to tackle those issues that we have right now in the social world. Ada, back
Thank you, Henry. So from what I heard is that from Chan Yao, we know that the market is need more solution. It is way need more. And second, I heard from Henry is that AI is already to the sense that the cost is not high, and also is all the solution already, and also the talent already in Hong Kong. But having said that, let me give a little bit promotion. If we actually want more talent on the technology side. So if you want to learn more, go to Microsoft Learn. That you can see all the solution, all the training material there online, free of charge, so that you can be one of the talent. And of course, we are now talking about digital skill for everyone. All the job need digital skill. So feel free to learn all this. So let me go to the second question. Chan Yao, as the market influencer driving the green protection in Hong Kong, can you share with us some market example that leverage AI or tech for social good? And how do you see this technology is helping the society?
Thank you very much. I want to start by saying the readiness, the NGO leaders in Hong Kong tend to be slow in adopting technology. So you will not see a lot of AI applications yet. There is one example by the Hong Kong government, the drainage department in the Pang Fuk Park, Pang Fuk Gong Yuan. They have installed a robot kind of sensors to detect, trace, and learn about the behavior of the birds, the egrets, so that they can, in building a new sewage treatment plant nearby, they can protect the living environment of these birds. So this is one example. I read that some months ago, a group of students were developing a robot system to collect plastics from sewage. So in a way, these are still very scanty applications, I would say. So a lot need to be done. My NGO, Carbon Care InnoLab, is working on a project to build solar system with NGOs because solar energy is a great solution to replace fossil fuel. So we are building 10 stations right now, and we'll be building another 25. So we develop a map. We collect data on a daily or even hourly basis. So I'm asking a colleague to show that there is a map, and then we on our website it is public. You can see the parameters of our solar system in, say, for example, this one is in Crossroad, in Tuen Mun. Then it shows you how much electricity has been generated and how much is now being generated on a daily basis, hourly. So it's public. You can go up there. So my challenge to you is how this data can be used by AI technology for some good knowledge and information to serve the public. So if you have any solution, please come to me. I'm looking for it. I'm looking for solutions. Yeah. So thank you very much. Yeah.
So Chanyeol, you will buy them a coffee when they have some solution, right?
Maybe more than that. Yeah.
So thank you, Chanyeol. So that I echo for what Chanyeol have said. A lot of NGO tell me that they have all the data. They collect a lot of data, but they don't know how to analyze it or what insight they can get from it. Actually, I heard a lot about AI, machine learning. I think later on Henry can talk more about that. But Chanyeol, can you give us some more example of the global case that, because I know that you fly to all different areas by yourself, so you may have some global case to share. Yeah.
Well, actually, last year, German government has called, they invested a lot of money in solutions, AI solutions for environment. So they call for proposals. I think there were at least 5 being described in an article, and one is on, say, tiger preservation. The tiger population is now about 3,000, and the global objective is to double it in a short time, in 5 years or so. So they need to trace their whereabouts and the behavior in order to better protect their environment. So they use a lot of, they need to use a lot of cameras, recognition technology, data, collections and analysis, real-time analysis, so on and so forth. So that's one example. And then there is another equal application to protect salmon in the sea, because it's a major source of food and so on. Some of the ways in which they are being farmed may harm the other parts of the ecology. So AI can be used to trace and to give more up-to-date or timely information to the keeper and to the monitors. So these are some of the examples. I think there is still the beginning, you know. There are a lot of atmospheric data that has to be analyzed if we want to combat climate change, to understand sea rise and a lot of change in weather. So many areas. So it is entirely the beginning, not a mature market yet. Yeah.
Thank you, Chen Yao. Before I go to the third question, Henry, I saw a lot of the video or the photo talking about how AI and machine learning to use computer vision to recognize where is the tiger, even the tiger hide under the rock, just the tail that we can recognize that by the machine that this is the tiger hiding there. So can you share a little bit more about how AI and machine learning work on that?
Yeah, so you talk about computer vision and even sound, using signals from the environmental to analyze some of the data that we want to analyze, right? I want to leverage some of the cases that we have in our AI for Earth program in Microsoft, where we call for researchers, students to really participate of using AI technologies to make Earth a better place, right? So let me share two of the cases, right? So one of the interesting cases is from overseas, California, right? The project team is called Soundscape to Landscape, okay? So what they're doing is they record the sound of the bird calls, right? And leveraging the abundance of birds as species, okay, to really understand the wider impact to the biodiversity in the landscape in a particular area, for example, right? So it's a little bit more context of why are we going to analyze biodiversity, for example, because it's a global phenomenon by climate changes and human activities that really impacting the overall biodiversity, I mean the species in the whole world, right? There are some species even extinct in the globe, where it impacts to both humans and other living creatures, okay, by impacting the food productions, freshwater supplies, even the availability of some medical resources and even disease control. If we continue to lose those biodiversities, those species, it will continue to get worse, right? So it's really important for researchers to understand, what is happening, and how do we make better, preservation kind of plans to protect them, right? So this case, they actually use bird calls, like birds, to proxy, to map to the wider biodiversity species, right? They have developed a species distribution model using deep learning technologies in AI. So what they did is they installed many, chip device, recording device around the countries in a particular area, for example, right? They collect, all those audios from bird calls, okay? They use massive kind of cognitive surface to identify the species from the noise of the calls, and then apply also with the satellite image of the landscape, right? So by climate change, by vegetation change, they could relate those data together using the data model that I just mentioned, and they can really give insights on, what is really happening to the wider biodiversity. And they can also do predictions, right? So at the end, so when all those data ready and after the analysis done, they can really make a better decision for humans to decide on how to re-preserve in a landscape, for example, right? So if we leverage that model to predict, let's say, this land over here will will inhabit the most, abundant biodiversity in the future, okay, using that model on the prediction, then we can make those preservation plans better to protect that area so that no pollutions or human activity will affect, the biodiversity of those landscapes. So this is really interesting, right? They have a team of researchers using data models to make those predictions using bird calls and satellite images.
That means AI can recognize different species of birds and
Yes.
how many of them are there in order to
Exactly.
protect them.
Exactly, right?
Yeah, it's cool.
And it's interesting that they use bird calls as a proxy to, mimic the overall biodiversity in the world. So this is one case, overseas case. And there are many other cases that we have locally in Hong Kong as well, right? I believe there are students from, universities making, ocean camera, okay, that they shoot videos underneath the oceans, okay, leveraging AIs to really, shot those images by their species or the overall kind of creatures specifications, so that before using AI, marine researchers use hundreds of hours to actually know if a specific species has been appeared in that area under the ocean, right? But now it just reduced the lots of time of processing using automations to from hundreds of hours of processing to like 2 to 3 hours. Okay, so that really helps the scientists to have a more accurate data, and also help them to make preservation as well policies under the oceans.
Yeah, I heard that from the NGO that they need to have the diver to dive under the water 30 or 40 hours in order to have that thousands of pictures. But now using a camera, and also the camera can help to distinguish what is the different species using AI. So it's all the amazing technology that can help. So may I ask both of you, Henry and Chanyot, what do you suggest for the startup or for the NGO to support the Hong Kong AI for Good ecosystem?
Okay. I think number one, the NGOs people need to learn more about the possibilities of AI. And number two, I think the technology people should come to NGO more. And I know that you need to earn money, but solutions are solutions, okay? Those who earn sometimes the best monies are those who work for common good. One example is like if you develop plant-based food these days, and you can actually a lot of newly listed companies in US earn a lot of money because they sell vegetarian food, like the one in McDonald's, 係咪嗰啲午餐肉咁樣？ And so any solutions that NGOs are looking are also the solutions to climate change, are also the solution to everybody. So now there is no distinction between, oh, if I need to build up my expertise and earn money, I work for commercial. If I do good, then after I'm getting rich, I switch to doing good. So it's now the line is being blurring and also actually eliminated. So those tomorrow I will be hosting a green finance seminar, exactly talking about this subject. So the investors around the world are investing in projects that are good for the environment. And they are very worried about projects that are bad for the environment in case that would produce risk for their investments. So I hope the AI people here, the technology people here can come to the NGO, talk to the people, and they don't understand, they know the problem, they don't know the solution, so you can work together. Yeah.
So Chen Yao, may I ask one follow-up question? I know that you are really strong. Just now you talk about maybe the startup need to support or the partner need to support more, but they may lack the funding. And then for the funder side, I know that you are really strong in getting all the funding in market. So do you have any words that for the funder, how they can support for good using all the technology stuff?
Yeah. Swire is here, so Athena is here, so we can talk to them. Actually, as I said, there is already an awareness in the investor community. So impact investment is now a keyword, and there are lots of foundations. However, they are not moving forward. Some foundations are still tied up in, let's see immediate impact, okay? The distribution of material to help people, that's important, that's short term. But the investment in capacity building using AI, in solutions that may be based on technology, and they may not generate impact today, tomorrow, or this year. Some data accumulation need to happen, and to a critical mass where the solutions will become sort of adopted and therefore resulting in impact. So that there is a lot of longer term impact. So I hope Charity Foundation also can broaden its perspective to look at that side. So investing in impact and AI for good is one important channel for this kind of investment. Yeah.
Thank you, Chen Yao. So that I can see that all the funders are so good in Hong Kong. There is more than, I know a lot of them. They are talking about they want to build impact. So that I believe that if the technology company can join in this ecosystem, I believe that they are really willing to support. Especially today, we also have Cyberport to support us, to help the startup everything. So that is a very good source of channel that all of the telco company can come to. So let's come to Henry. I know that Microsoft is talking a lot about sustainability. We have the mission that in 2030, we will be carbon negative, the whole Microsoft, so that we ourselves do a lot already. But other than that, we are also supporting the customer to be carbon negative. Yeah. So that from this side, I know, Henry, you work with a lot of enterprise customer. How do you think that the enterprise customer part can also support the NGO or the funder in this ecosystem to play a part?
You are 20 years ahead of Hong Kong government. Hong Kong government plans to be carbon neutral in 2050. And you are carbon negative in 2030. So.
We are a little bit faster. But that's good, so that our government and Microsoft are all carbon negatives very soon.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Thanks. As both of you mentioned, right? I think both sustainability or AI for good or for Earth, it's not contributed by a single party or small group of people, right? Everyone needs to come together, even from the enterprises, right? So everyone, every enterprises, they do have a corporate responsibility that they want to also contribute on their own. So we have talked to different customers in this area. The way how Microsoft helped them to make this carbon negative or carbon neutral is to make use of the cloud technologies, right? I know it's a cliche of every software vendor saying that you should use cloud, but from the economic angle, it really helps them to reduce the carbon footprint on their own. I mean, from the customer organization point of view, where if everyone or more and more enterprises leverage the technology on the cloud, okay, that will really help them to reduce their footprint, okay, on their own data centers, right? That will really help them to accelerate the sustainability and carbon neutral.
So that actually enterprise customer can also find the technology company or the startup to help them to be carbon neutral or carbon negative. So Chen Yao, can I ask you one more different question? Although today is talking about AI for Earth, today's event, but I know you are really passionate in the AI for accessibility. Can you share some example to the audience that how AI for accessibility can help the community?
Okay. Well, I thought you want to have another program.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, microphone.
Okay, sorry. For example, we are doing an indoor navigation system to help blind people to locate where to go in a shopping center, university, MTR station. So that Google Map doesn't work indoor yet. So you need some technology to help. So there was some belief that iBeacon can be used. RFID can be used, some signal system. And then there is also Wi-Fi fingerprinting. And also technology is coming up with other things. But it's very difficult, actually. We are facing a huge task and identify accuracy. So it's now still the final meter problem. So we may, whatever signal system, you may be deviating for 2 meters or more. And in MTR, there is also a complication about signaling because once when trains comes in, it will alter the signal systems. So we are working on it. So we have built it up, but I think it will be improving. But by next year, we'll build up to 150 sites. And we want to prove to the government that if it works, then all the indoor sites should be required to have a signal system that can connect to an app that we have built. Then not just blind people or the elderly or whoever who go in the shopping center will find. So it's now a maze. You cannot find any place apart from walking through all the corridors. So this is one example I'm working on. Yeah.
You're really working on a lot of different projects for accessibility and carbon care. Thank you, Chen Yao. So, and for the audience, I believe that after hearing all the sharing and all our discussion, you may be interested that you already have something in mind, or you have some ideas, some data in mind, or some solution already you want to realize. I give you some tips. I know that government and all the funders are having different support to the AI for Good ecosystem. Actually, Microsoft, we also have an AI for Good grant. It is a global program that we are supporting with technology, with resources and expertise. It includes 5 pillars. Oh, I should hold my PowerPoint, sorry. It includes 5 pillars. It is what Chanel just now talked about, AI for accessibility. How you can think of some solution to help the disability group, including their daily life, their employment and communication. The second is what our theme today is AI for Earth. It's talking about agriculture, biodiversity, climate change, and water. If you have any data, any solution ready, you feel free to apply for it. And the third one is AI for humanitarian action. Luckily, in Hong Kong, we didn't have a lot of cases because it's talking about the place with earthquake, with a tsunami, so that in Taiwan and in Japan, they apply a lot for that. And the fourth one is AI for cultural heritage. It's talking about we want to preserve all the artifacts in the museum, or we want to preserve the language. AI can help. And the last one is a very hot topic now. It's talking about AI for health. AI for health, how we can have the equality of health system, or how we can diagnose some, for example, the virus, the things that it can use AI to help. So that all this we welcome for open for application for Microsoft. So if you guys are interested, please feel free to apply online. So this is the information. Actually, today is part of the Global AI for Good program. We make a local one in Hong Kong with the partner of Swire Trust, Cyberport, and government, so that in order to promote more AI solution in Hong Kong. So thanks for your support. So thank you, Chen Yao, and thank you, Henry.
Thank you, Ida.
Let me pass back the time to the judges to give us the result. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for meaningful sharing. We can see now how the capabilities of technology can actually exceed our imagination, both on the area of application. It is also is actually really very accessible, both in terms of cost and skills, and have a close linkage to how we can protect our environment. So now it comes to the most exciting part of the day. We announce the winners of today's challenge. But first, may we invite Mr. Victor Yuan to give our closing remarks. Victor, please.
It was a really exciting afternoon, and where we heard a lot of startups which share with us the idea is protecting the environment using technology. So the judges actually had a very difficult time in considering all these competitors' proposals, and but now we eventually need to have to come to a conclusion or decision. And so we'll now have Doris coming here to announce the winners of today's competition.
Yes, please may Mr. Victor Yuan stay on stage. We would like to invite Winnie, Henry, Ada, and Doris to come on stage to announce and present our awards. So may Doris announce the second runner-up of today's challenge.
The second runner-up goes to Clear Robotic for the Bird Watching Society. Congratulations.
Thank you. So may Doris announce the first runner-up of today's challenge.
The first runner goes to Open Ocean Engineering for the Ocean 3C Group. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Finally, we will today's champion.
The champions goes to Carbon Base for the Ocean 3C Group. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you. And thank you all our presenters. May you be seated. So congratulations to all winners today, and thank you all the judges. This is the end of today's competition. Thank you all for joining. I wish you all find it meaningful and inspiring to see how AI technology could bring different social impact to the society. The recording of today's event, we will post it on our social media platforms, so stay tuned and feel free to share. We wish you all a great day ahead. Thank you.